Hello and welcome to the first in our series about card draw and statistics. In this video we will be analysing the mulligan and the chances of drawing either a regular or diamond card throughout the game, and in turn we'll understand part of why going second isn't a disadvantage. Yes, that's right, going second isn't a disadvantage. When most people start the game, they assume that going first is a major plus, as you get to play your cards first each chapter and you get the first strike in the final fight. In some respects, they're right. When you start the game, and you're a noob, going first is probably advantageous, but when you progress and start to understand the game a bit better, this advantage tends to disappear. In JX's own statistics, they put the win rate for going first versus second at almost exactly 50-50. And in the higher leagues, the community's own measurements puts going second at a slight advantage. This is because when you start the game, you're not really using very many card combinations, or you're not really reacting to your opponent. So the difference between getting a good draw and a bad draw isn't so great. But when you start to play more competitively, this extra card can make a big difference in your ability to play out your strategies consistently. Here's why. We'll look at two examples. The first is of drawing a particular diamond card that you want, where there's only one card in your deck. And the second is of drawing any regular card, i.e. a card that you have two copies of in your deck. But first, the diamond card. For some strategies, such as in a pirate deck, drawing your main diamond card can make or break your game. In pirate decks this is often Lady-Z, and getting this early in the game can let you finish off your rival before they have a chance to really get started. So what are the chances of drawing this? We'll assume that you're using the minimum deck size of 30 cards, as this gives you the best chance of drawing anything that you particularly want. For the first card that you draw, there's only one card out of 30, so it's a 1/30 chance. For the second card, it's 1 minus the chance that you already have the card in your hand, times 1/29, so it will be 29/30 times 1/29, and so on and so on. This means that when you go first, and you draw 6 cards, the total chance of having a diamond card in your hand, or the diamond card that you want, is 20%. When you go second, the extra card means that the total chance is 23.33%. Not a big difference, but then we come to the mulligan. I won't go through the process of working out the statistics because it's fairly dull, so here instead is the pretty graph. Obviously, the chances of drawing the card you want increases with the number of cards that you redraw in the mulligan, and the advantage for going second here is quite noticeable. But it's still not a massive chance of drawing the diamond card that you want, so let's look at chapter 2. We'll assume that you did a full mulligan at the start of the game, and then see what the odds are of drawing the card that you want at the start of chapter 2, and see how that chance increases if you were to draw any other cards from the card draw effect. The first thing to note here is that you can't draw 5 cards when you're going second without discarding one, which is why the bar for drawing 5 cards is faded out slightly for going second. We can see though that going second still gives a 4 to 5% advantage overall. Across the whole game, the data looks like this. The advantage looks small, but it's bigger than you actually realise. If you were to compare the percentage for going first, percentage for going second, and then look at what's the relative difference between this, you can get a more useful look of the advantage of going second. 14% is a huge increase for a chapter 1 draw, and goes some of the way to explaining why going second isn't a bad thing in Chronicle. For the rest of the story, let's look at normal cards. Some decks rely on specific non-diamond cards for their strategy, notably Ariane's spellbook decks. Like before, we'll look at the chance of drawing these throughout the game, assuming that there are 2 copies of this card in the deck and a deck size of 30. I won't go through the process of working out these statistics at all because it's more complicated than before and involves decision trees and would be quite boring to watch in a video. So straight to the graphs. These graphs are a little different as there are obviously a chance of drawing both cards in your starting hand instead of just one. So the bottom darker colour represents one card in your hand, and the top lighter colour represents having both cards in your hand, with the number at the very top of each section representing the chance of having at least one copy in your hand. The difference here between first and second is quite a lot larger than it is for drawing a single diamond card. Assuming a full mulligan, there's a 7% increase for going second. This is really significant as it allows you to play out your strategy a lot more consistently. For Chapter 2, the data looks like this. Again, note that you can't draw 5 cards when you go second unless you discard at least one with something like KGP agents, which is why that particular bar is faded out. The total advantage for going second drops slightly, but the advantage for having both copies in your hand increases. Across the whole game, it looks like this. This is a lot of data points, so I've added these trend lines so you can understand and read it a bit better. The top trend line represents the probability of drawing at least one copy of a card, and as you can see there is always an advantage going second, but they tend towards each other as more cards are drawn. The second trend lines, at the bottom, represent the chance of drawing both copies of a card. Here you can see that the absolute advantage for going second actually increases throughout the game. If you really need to play both copies of a card, such as in a Hope Devourer deck, then going second is a big advantage. I said absolute advantage just now, which is the difference in the statistics when you take them away from each other, instead of relative advantage, which is the difference when you divide them from one another, because the relative advantage does decrease as you might expect and see in the following graph. This is because obviously when you draw more and more cards, the deck size gets smaller and smaller, and the chance of drawing anything tends towards a certain point. But you can still see that going second gives you a significantly better chance of getting the cards that you want throughout the game, and in particular at the beginning of the game. Alright, that's all we're going to cover in this video. I do have more videos planned where I delve deeper into the stats behind the game. So if you have any idea of statistics you want to see, or if you have anything in the game that you want to be explained, drop a comment below and like and subscribe for more Chronicle content coming soon.